On this channel, we provide useful programming information with practical code examples. This time, it's about the basics of JavaScript. Describes an overview of JavaScript, data types, scope, and variable hoisting. Enabling subtitles will make the code descriptions easier to understand. Please make use of it. First, we will use Visual Studio Code to run the familiar Hello World in JavaScript. Let's execute this file. It is required that Node.js is already installed. Now, press the F5 key to run it. As you can see, JavaScript executed and displayed Hello World. Now, let's look into the basics of JavaScript. JavaScript is one of the most widely used programming languages in web development. It is primarily used to add dynamic elements to web pages, allowing for user interface manipulation, data transmission, and animation creation. It can operate on the client side, in a browser, and server side using technologies like Node.js. Due to its simplicity and flexibility, it is easy for beginners to learn and is widely used by professional developers. Let's start by looking at variables. Variables in JavaScript are like containers used to store and reuse data. By using variables, you can maintain and manipulate values in your program. You can declare variables as follows. In JavaScript, there are three keywords for declaring variables. Var, an old method of declaring variables, but handling its scope is complex and requires caution. It is based on function scope. Let, introduced in ES6, it is a way to declare variables with block scope. It can be reassigned but cannot be redeclared in the same scope. Const, used to declare variables that are immutable, constants. It has block scope and cannot be reassigned or redeclared after declaration. Variables have the concept of scope. Global scope variables are accessible from anywhere. Variables declared with var have global or function scope, but let and const have block scope. Block scope. Variables declared with let or const are valid only within curly braces. An error occurs when accessing from outside curly brackets. Function scope. Variables and functions defined inside a function cannot be accessed from outside the function. Variables declared inside a function with var belong to this scope. In this example, the variable function var can be accessed from outside the curly braces as long as it is within the function scope. On the other hand, accessing the variable function scope from outside the function scope results in an error. Thus, variables declared with var have only function scope and no block scope, posing a risk of being used in unexpected ranges. It is preferable to use const for variables that do not change and usually use let, avoiding the use of var as much as possible. JavaScript variables can store values of various data types. There are string for handling text and number for handling numeric values. The main data types are as follows. Primitive types. Number handles numerical values, integers and floating point numbers. String handles strings of characters. Boolean handles Boolean values, true or false. Null explicitly represents a value of nothing. Undefined a value automatically assigned to variables that have not been initialized. Symbol a data type used to create unique values. Object types. Object a data structure with multiple properties. Array a list containing multiple values. Function a function object. Variables declared with let or var can be reassigned, but const cannot be reassigned once declared. In JavaScript, there is a phenomenon where variable declarations are hoisted to the top of their scope. Variables declared with var are hoisted, but using let or const before declaration causes an error. In this case, variables declared with var are hoisted, and their values are output. Variables declared with let are not hoisted, resulting in an error. Consider the following points for proper use of variables. Prefer using const and avoid using var. Follow variable naming conventions. Use camel case, such as username or total price. Avoid ambiguous names like data or value, and use meaningful names to improve readability. A variable name cannot start with a number, so names like one variable are not allowed. Excessive use of global variables can cause scope ambiguity and lead to bugs, so avoid using them whenever possible. Next, let's look at escape characters in JavaScript. Escape characters are a method used to represent characters with special meanings within regular string literals. In JavaScript, escape characters are introduced with a backslash to impart special effects to a string or to include control characters. Escape characters are useful for including elements like newlines, tabs, or quotation marks in a string. Below are some sample codes utilizing escape characters. Use escape characters to represent double or single quotes within a string. To include a backslash itself in a string, escape it with You can insert new lines and tabs to make long strings more readable. Using Unicode escape sequences allows you to represent specific characters with hexadecimal codes. Overusing escape characters can reduce the readability of your code. It is especially important to use escape characters judiciously in long strings. In JavaScript, template literals using backticks allow you to include new lines or embedded expressions without escape characters. Escape characters are essential for representing special or control characters within strings. By escaping single or double quotes and adding new lines or tabs, you can create more flexible strings. However, excessive use of escape characters can make the code harder to read, so consider using template literals when appropriate. Finally, let's look at JavaScript versions. JavaScript has a standard specification called ECMAScript, ES. JavaScript has evolved based on this standard. Below is a brief description of its major versions. ES3, 1999. The first widely adopted version. Basic syntax and features were established. ES5, 2009. Introduction of strict mode and new features like array, prototype, for each object, keys, etc. were added. ES6, ES 2015, 2015. A major update to JavaScript has been made. Many features foundational to modern JavaScript, such as let, const, arrow functions, classes, promises, modules, etc., were introduced. ES7, ES 2016, 2016. Array, prototype, includes, and the exponentiation operator were added. ES8, ES 2017, 2017. Async, await, was introduced, making it simpler to write asynchronous processes. ES9, ES 2018, 2018. Asynchronous iterators and REST spread properties were added. ES10, ES 2019, 2019. Flat map and object from entries were added. ES11, ES 2020, 2020. Optional chaining and the nullish coalescing operator were added, allowing code to be written more simply and safely. ES12, ES 2021, 2021. String. Prototype. Replace all, and promise.any, among others, were added. ES13, ES 2022, 2022. Array.prototype.at, and class, private, fields, hashtag field, among others, were added. ES14, ES 2023, 2023. Array. Prototype. To sorted, and symbol. Prototype. Description, among others, were added. ES15, ES 2024, 2024. Promise. With resolvers, for easier, promise, management and resizable, array buffer, among others, were added. Current JavaScript is updated every year, and new features are added even in the latest version. The source code for this video can be downloaded from the official website. If you like, please visit the URL in the description to aid your learning. If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing to the channel and giving it a thumbs up. Thank you for watching.